Good afternoon, everyone. This panel has a difficult task to perform. After the interesting lunch, we have to ensure that we all keep your attention here and keep the tempo and the momentum of this discussion. So we have a very interesting subject today, and we have a very interesting and diverse panel to discuss this subject. As we know, and we have been seeing since morning, we have various awards being done here, and all the people here are the leaders and the budding leaders and the winners in different ways. The subject of this panel discussion is winning the future of evolutionary retail. Some of us being here have seen this evolution in this industry, right from those days when it was called a shop, and it was a business of a shopkeeper, and people working for this used to be considered people who cannot get any other job would get into working in a shop. From there, we can see this forum here where we are now called as a part of retail industry. Right from growing from in the polished language, as we call brick and mortar stores, the shopkeepers and the shops and the bazaars, to the highly innovative, attractive, enjoyable, fun-filled malls, shops, creative stores, a lot of business case innovations, technology-driven innovations that nowadays many business schools offer retail management as one of the specialization. Let us start this panel discussion with introductions of all the winners and experts on the panel. Would like to start with myself. I am Sunil Joshi. Spent about 20 plus years in experiencing this evolution from shopkeepers to experienced retail professional driven retail industry. And I have done retail in different categories. I have been part of fashion accessories, consumer electronics, furniture, furnishings, artifacts, accessories. And my last assignment was on a worldwide assignment, which was for duty-free retail, travel retail. So have been to different verticals of this retail industry, have seen the e-commerce, have seen the omni-channel, and we are going to now discuss how we are going to go to the future of this industry. We have on the panel Manasi Gupta, co-founder of Tijori. Manasi, please introduce.
Hello, everyone. I'm a founder of Tijori. Tijori's been a decade-old brand now. And we've had our own journey starting with the marketplace model to a completely all-category Tijori labeled products. And having spent over a decade in e-commerce, I think next for us is what we are calling as the future of physical retail in convalescence with online e-commerce. So phygital is the way to go forward, and that's what I think we're going to be talking about today.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sunil Jalihar, the founder of Indic Inspirations, a company that narrates stories of India through objects. I actually come from a technology, IT background, working with various technology companies, and since 1999 did a few tech startups of my own, and now decided to help artisans. And we thought we should help them with technology, with new products, new ways of packaging them, and new ways of distributing them. So we are working on it, and I think the COVID years have expedited evolution in a sense. And I think we've all learned a lot in a very short time, and I'm sure all of us here on the panel as well as in the audience have tried various things and how to get back to physical retail as well as online and so on. So that's what we are experiencing as well. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Arush, founder of Agrex AI, and I'm a firm believer in the statement, you can't improve what you can't measure. So consequently, we help retailers measure and monitor what's going on inside their stores in order to improve and essentially win in this evolutionary war with retail.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ankur Damani. I've been fortunate to spend over 17 years in this very dynamic and exciting retail industry. I started my career with Reebok, and I've worked with brands like Callaway Golf, VIP Industries. Currently, I'm the country head for Le Creuset. It's a 100-year-old French luxury cookware brand with a lot of heritage and legacy. And I've been associated with this brand for almost a decade now, and I manage the Indian subcontinent region. Thank you.
Great. It's a wonderful introduction by all. Let's move on to our main part. We all know retail is all about experience. With the development of e-commerce, the popularization of e-commerce, and during pandemic, need to be on the e-commerce. We have seen all different variants in this industry. We have seen debates in earlier time where we used to say whether e-commerce will kill the brick and mortar stores. We have seen people, e-commerce brands coming out of nowhere becoming the most popular brands. And we have also seen e-commerce brand coming to offline retail and offline retail stubborn brands getting onto e-commerce. We have seen all of this. I would like to ask Manasi, how do you see this as a change in your business that you are experienced till time from online retail, offline retail, and omni-channel perspective overall?
Yes, earlier in, I was just talking to the panel about we started as an online first brand. And the thesis of having an online first brand was very clear. During the years when you do recce for your brand and you do realize that apparel is that industry or fashion is that industry where inventory kills you. And that's when you decide, okay, fine, number one, I'm not going to have inventory. Number two, physical retail and the costs associated with it are so high that it becomes sometimes like the business hasn't seen the light of the day, and then you have to pack your bags. So we started as an online-only brand, and over the years, what we have seen that there was definitely some gap which was there. Like, you cannot compare apple to peaches. So online brands, and in 2011 and 12, like when the onset of online was so high, the excitement of the consumer was so high, every brand was going online, and there was an amazing customer response on online, and like it was a gamification of shopping for people. People were banking hugely on, how convenient it is. It is so easy to order 10 products and keep one and then return. Life was made so easy for people to not let small brands sustain, because if they keep on doing this to brands who are not funded by deep pockets and funds, etc., it becomes inevitably impossible for them to survive. That happened, and then COVID happened. So when COVID happened, there was no option for people to go out to the markets and shop. Online was the only way. And I think that was one time I don't know whether I should be saying this or not, but we have never been more profitable than during COVID times, because, of course, with the right kind of marketing strategies in place, etc., we capitalized on it, and the inventory, the raw material was all stocked at the, the weavers and the craftspeople. So we sold not structured, constructed pieces, but like the 3-piece set or a 2-piece set, but the fabric. So by doing that, we were not only able to provide a value proposition to the customer, we were saying that since you are home and there is no office or you're working from home, do your wedding trousseau planning, etc. So we ran such marketing campaigns, and it was no COD market at that time, so everything was prepaid. And the weaver or the supplier on the other side of the spectrum also did not die. And because we all know many businesses had to shut shop, many suppliers have to go out of business. But then after COVID, people started feeling hungry for physical retail again. So in a sense, you know, there are ups and downs, like there are plus and minus sides of both online only and physical only. The ideal answer for this is having a culmination of both, where you take the plus side of e-commerce, because when you open an e-commerce website, you keep on going infinite scrolls, you keep on going down, down, down. It's never-ending inventory, like never-ending assortment. And in physical retail, you start from this aisle and then you are finished. Plus, I find physical retail very exhausting also. Like, you know, as a shopper, I get so tired looking at all of this. But a combination where you are able to showcase your entire assortment, having the ability for the person to touch, feel, try, and buy, and also having to feel the fabric or the texture or how the feel of the garment is. For example, I'm talking particularly apparel right now, but I think those are the barriers which are there between physical retail and e-commerce. And I think if you are able to overcome that, then you have the answer, which is in a way, you know, how omni-channel retail, and I'm not talking about high-tech omni-channel. I know we can go that way too, but at the same time, first thing first, or the first step first for us right now is having like an omni-channel physical retail outlet where the convenience of personifying the brand is there. People can try and see everything and then buy. If it is a bestseller, you'll buy off the shelf. It's not a bestseller, you'll place an order. You can come and take it. You can come for exchange, return, etc. So the service is also not hampered, and the cost of inventory is the lowest, and you don't have to pay huge dollars for physical retail investment. So that's the way that we are going about it, by combining these two factors together and having a physical retail which is more tech-enabled and data-enabled, and then we are able to minimize and keep the value points that we have from e-commerce into offline as well. Yeah.
Very interesting. We all might have remembered those days when the lockdown started and we were all happy, no more travel, time with family, and having all shopping experience online, everything reaching to our doorsteps. And from there, as the lockdowns got extended, we started craving for that shopping, going out, touch, feel, experience, and then buy. And we were missing it, and as she rightly said, from those online shopping to offline shopping. And today, if we see ourselves, we want best of both the worlds. I would like to ask Ankur, how has been your experience in all of this? Because your brand earlier used to be mostly an offline brand and used to be very popular in buying offline. And I'm sure you might have faced some challenges during this lockdown. So how have you and your company dealt with all of this, and how is your views about omnichannel overall?
I think I'll talk very India specific because you know, the brand is at a different maturity level in, for example, in America or Europe. But as far as India is concerned, you know, we were a completely offline heavy brand, and online, because of our positioning being, you know, bridge to luxury, you know, we are kind of luxury in our segment. A lot of online sales was not happening, although we were registered on Amazon and stuff. But primarily it was, you know, offline retail. Also because, you know, our consumer was very, very evolved. It was mature, you know, 35 plus sort of a consumer, not the Gen Z. So, you know, from that perspective, it was very, very offline heavy. Although we were present on, you know, e-commerce as well. But the pandemic completely turned around everything. and e-commerce just bombarded. And obviously, during lockdowns, nobody had a choice but to go on, and shop online or sell online. So we were, one of the things which I think, is being an evolution for retail is how you build up that resilience, how you build up that infrastructure in this entire dynamic environment. And we were very fortunate because being an international company, we had that entire infrastructure, the digital capabilities, the, IT infrastructure to be able to very, very rapidly adopt and, roll out, this entire thing globally. So I think we were very fortunate from that perspective. And as soon as, the lockdown started, we had no choice but to sell online as well. But what we did very differently is, being a very premium brand, we just don't sell products, we sell experiences. And that's something that, some things change, but, some things which are very, very core to the brands, and especially premium brands, I think, for us, customer experience is first and foremost. And we just don't sell cookware, we sell an experience. So I think, from an omni-channel perspective, we were not just building our infrastructure towards making online sales, but also towards building an omni-channel marketing experience, which the consumer could appreciate even sitting at home. So, all of a sudden we've been very different in terms of our marketing experiences that we do. So we do a lot of culinary experiences, masterclasses in our stores, in, luxury hotels, and, customer engagement is at the core. Pandemic happened, obviously all the offline events, just, could not happen. And what we did very, very innovatively at that time, because everyone was on Instagram, everyone was doing Zoom meetings and calls with family, friends, 20 years back, your school friends are getting together. So we, just got on that wave, and, we partner with the best of chefs, celebrity chefs across the world. So, we brought that experience online. We started doing, for our, especially our loyal customers, we started doing these Zoom masterclasses, Instagram live sessions, recipes. And we were, again, like Mansi said, we were a little fortunate, during the COVID pandemic time, because everyone was confined inside their homes. Everyone was cooking. The conversations were more about food and family. And, obviously health became the, center stage of all discussions. So, we are about conscious, food and, premium cookware. So I think from that perspective, we gained a lot. And because of our, digital capabilities, we were very quickly rolling out into other marketplaces, our own websites. We launched on Tata Click Luxury, Myntra. And, these platforms, today they've grown like 25x, which we would not have believed. I mean, all the forecasts that all of us would have done just went down the drain, because I think, the pandemic brought e-commerce where it is today, maybe 5 years, advance. So obviously, the forecast which I would have done for e-commerce probably after 5 years, that happened like, during the pandemic. So I think, yeah, I would say that, brands have to become very, very customer-centric, in the sense that, like Mansi was mentioning, the entire customer journey was changing every 6 months, from lockdowns going only on e-commerce. And then as and when the COVID waves were receding, everyone was so frustrated and was wanting to come out of their house. So I think, we've always kept a customer-first approach, and studied what the customer wants, how the behavior is changing. And we've been very resilient and adaptive to change. I think that's one of the key aspects, how quickly you adapt, not just in terms of your infrastructure, but also people.
Great. So the most important thing here is the customer experience. And it's amazing, and the buzzword today is AI. So practically in everywhere what we get to see is about AI. So Arush, what do you think about customer experience from your point of perspective on, how does AI help in the online and offline retail overall in terms of delivering better customer experiences?
Right. So let me start with, I'm the odd one out here because I'm probably the only one who's not a retailer, right? So why I'm here is to talk about how retailers can improve. And of course, the buzzword, like you said, and the overarching theme of this panel and the event in general is customer experience, right? I don't provide customer experience, so I probably can't contribute. But what I can say is, for the customer experience to happen, for the brand to be able to put the product in front of the customer in a certain way, whatever he wants, there needs to be a series of steps that need to happen previous to that, right? What I mean is the product itself must be manufactured. For that, raw material needs to be procured. In case the brands are manufacturing stuff themselves, the product needs to be procured, manufactured. It needs to get to where it is to be sold at. And once it is there, it is up to the store staff or the person on the ground to be able to create that experience, right? So. Of course, the future of retail is customer experience, but also the future is to be able to enable that customer experience, right? And what we've noticed, especially with the pandemic, is a lot of supply chain issues, which meant a lot of missed revenue for customers. So it's not that people weren't buying, be it online or offline, but it was that the product, what the people wanted, wasn't even available, right? And a lot of the resources were going into making sure that, if, for example, your product might be coming from Europe and the waiting times outside most of the Indian ports were through the roof, right? 2 months, 3 months. So, so again, the future is also to solve these supply chain issues, and the future is also to create those experiences, but from a logistical perspective, not from a creative perspective. And I think most of the customers, whoever are buying the product, they might have their own personal preferences, which means that, for example, your competitor might have a different kind of creative team, and they might take away some of the customers from your product, but that's just personal preference, right? So in a sense, customer experience is commoditized. A lot of people are working towards it. There's a lot of creative energy is going there. But a lot more energy is also going towards solving all the back-end issues which don't get talked about as often, especially in retail conferences. I'm attending a logistics conference next week, and most of the panels and most of the sessions are around how to solve these issues pre-retail, right? So that's my perspective. And just a small plug, one of the most effective ways to do that is to utilize data analytics, AI. And AI is much more than advanced logic. A lot of people come in and say that, okay, we've put in this advanced logic and now it's AI, but it's really not. AI is picking up patterns where in normal circumstances a human might not be able to, which is why it's a revolutionary technology instead of an evolutionary technology.
Great. That's wonderful. And Sunilji, you have a very different product category and a very different way of reaching to customers. So from this perspective of online retail, offline retail, overall omni-channel, and customer experience, what's your take on this customer experience thing in online as well as offline retail?
Yeah, as you rightly said, we are in the collectibles, merchandise, souvenirs category. What that means is the event and experience when it happens, the product needs to be available. So can that be done online? Yes, in some ways, but in many ways it also needs to be available physically. So how do we do that? So is there a format, a retail format, where the capex and opex can be brought down, technology can be applied, and yet we can provide a good user experience? And can we flip the online model, or rather the physical model, make it phygital, and make it seamless with the online world? So imagine people scanning and buying, yeah, in a physical or phygital store. Does that give them the right experience? And does it bring down the costs? So that's what we are kind of playing with. And because our product category is such that we need to be in many places, So we need to combine online and offline in cost-effective ways. We also need to carry a lot of inventory because we are focused on providing products by interests of people. Yeah, and they also need to be available in many places. So right now we are working with some resellers and so on. Our plan is to go to many more physical places, but very relevant ones. For example, museums are a big thing for us, because we are talking about stories of India, and a lot of the stories are in museums. And as we all know, our museums are not in great shape, but they're being put together, or rather fixed. You know, if you go to the museum in Mumbai, you'll see that it's as good as one of the ones in Paris now, yeah, which wasn't the case. So getting into those museum stores, or providing an experience of something that they've seen inside the museum and they're able to take it home. So we're trying to combine all of this and make it an enriching experience.
Great. You have been mentioning about storytelling way to deliver the customer experience and museum, and we have seen all 4 panelists talking about this. Overall customer experience is the key for driving our business, and over a period of my personal experience in retail, from those days of building operational excellence in retail to expansion, and then from my personal expertise of being business strategy specialist, with so many expansions in retail industry done in last few years, they started calling me as growth management expert. So I would like to ask these all expert panelists here, in the future of evolutionary retail, what do you think is the key to win in the coming years? So this question is now for all, and anyone can take in any sequence, as how would we win in the coming years in this continuously changing scenario of retail industry?
Right, I think I'll take that first. So one of the key things I believe is to have a lot of data about how everything is going, right? So like I mentioned, one of the key criteria I use to run my own life as well as the business, and I talk about this a lot. You can't improve what you can't measure. What you can't improve, what you can't measure. So essentially, you need to measure a lot of stuff. And when it comes to there are different generations of data. The first generation is being aware that there is data to be collected. The third generation of data analytics is that you actually collect that data. And the second generation, the third generation is to use that data to do something, right? I believe we're somewhere ahead of the second generation, that we're collecting a lot of data, but we still don't know what to do with it. And especially retailers, I'm sure you'll agree, you have a lot of data, right? There's endless amounts of data streams that are coming in, but the problem is that how do you analyze it? You do it manually, you do it, you run tests, you run experiments, what do you do with it, right? So essentially, the future is to consolidate that, to run experiments, and to shift the decision-making based on experience into an automated system. I'm sure a lot of people would be already aware of ChatGPT, which was just launched. So similar systems already exist for a lot of industries, especially in the logistics industry. There are already systems in place to automate a lot of decision making, which used to happen manually. I think retail is where it's headed, but not completely, because retail as an industry is a very customer-centric one, where each customer might have different preferences. You can't really optimize for all customers, right? You have to pick and choose your battles. So essentially what I see is democratization, where extremely large brands as a brand name would cease to exist, but there will be a lot of niches, and those umbrella brands could own companies in those different niches and try to optimize for that specific niche, right? So we can think of a lot of examples, I won't name names, that essentially the business model is to have multiple brands under one roof, right? I think that is the way to go, because there are opportunities to create unique intersectional experiences where a single brand might not be able to do that, right? And the brands themselves should, I see opposition from a lot of retail clients to, they want to have their own stores. They don't want to be in these umbrella brands. But I think really there's space for both, right? Most customers who go out don't go out with a certain aim. Impulse buying plays a huge role, which again leads to experiences. You go to a store, and essentially what's happening is, with that experience, there's a release of dopamine, serotonin, and essentially you make a purchase. What you might not have bought for 1,000 rupees online can be sold for 10,000 rupees if you attach a good experience and feelings with it, right? So that's where I think the retail as an industry is going.
I have a few points to make. I think, whether there is an evolution, there is a revolution, whatever happens, some things don't change. And for a consumer-facing industry like retail, I think one thing that doesn't change is that, customer is the king, customer is God, whatever. So, whatever might change, this thing will not change. So I think one of the most important things that brands need to keep in mind is how you have a customer-centric approach, how you keep, studying customer behavior, what the customer wants, with now, obviously, he spoke about data and, how you analyze that data and how you again understand, what the customer really wants, how is he changing, how are the buying patterns changing, what about your brand is changing for the customer, and how you adapt to that. So I think one of the most important things for any brand to be successful is how well you know your customer and how well you adapt to your customer's needs, his changes, his behaviors. And the pandemic has taught us, a lesson of a lifetime that, how things can change overnight and how you have to be, very, very adaptive to that change. I think the second thing is that we are living in a very, very dynamic environment. And, how you are resilient to all these changes, both in terms of your systems, processes, infrastructure, and also people. I think, the other part of the human interaction, one is customer, the other is employee. Of course, you can control a lot of things with e-commerce and, a lot of technology plays a role. But, when offline retail comes into play, I think it's also about how your staff, the fifth P changes, and how you train your staff to that change and how your staff really adapts to these changes. The other thing, I think, we've all spoken about experience. I think everyone wants to deliver an experience today, and we've moved away from, selling a need or a want and then, selling products, selling technology, whatever, selling luxury. But I think it's a very proven fact that you don't remember, products, purchases, you remember experiences. I mean, each one of us will definitely recall memories, and those memories will be, events or experiences. So I think, the way forward is how you deliver an experience so that it registers in your customer's mind, how you get the customer to come back and, shop again and again and again till the point of loyalty. And that can happen through an experience. And going further, especially for premium brands, that experience has to be very, very consistent. I think consistency is the key. Very, very customer-centric brands like Disney or McDonald's, they just don't get it wrong. I mean, you walk into a McDonald's anywhere across the world, anywhere across India, you go to South, you go to Rajasthan, they are so well trained about upselling, cross-selling. This is the new burger launched. I mean, it's a very classic example for all of us to adopt, that if they can, they're like literally like robots, they just don't miss out. And here we struggle that, you've sold a shoe, uske saath socks kyun nahi becha, bhul kaise gaye, So I think, consistency is a very, very key aspect so that, the customer gets the same experience, whether it's, across the world, whether it's on different channels, which brings me to the next one, which is, I think, an omni-channel and a digital-first approach. I think gone are those days where digital was luxury. I think it's a necessity. You can't do anything without digital. Social media is like, everywhere. Influencers are just, mushrooming millions of followers. So I think the quickly, brands embrace technology, embrace, digital, I think better it is, and how you integrate that into different platforms, whether it's sales, whether it's marketing. A very good point, Arush mentioned was about logistics. I think, these are some of the points which will make you, a very, very robust, company for the future.
I think companies and brands for long have kind of dumbed down their products, thinking the customers are dumb, and the focus was on efficiency. And so, for example, a hotel room became smaller so that it was good for the air conditioning. It was easy for the air conditioning. And to hell with, everything else that a customer wanted. So I think with technology and with awareness, right, especially amongst the millennials and Gen Z and so on, they're going to demand things that are of interest to them, not just dumbed down products. They need to be products that address, specific needs. So various groups have various needs. They're like, for example, cycling clubs or golfers, or there are people who love traveling, or people who like science and technology. All of them think differently, and they need to be addressed. And as individuals who have specific needs. The second aspect, I think, which is going to become very important with all the and it's not just about the global warming alone anymore, but packaging. For example, I don't know how long Bisleri can sell water in a plastic bottle. Sustainable packaging is being demanded by people. I'm sure a lot of you would have seen, people buy on Amazon and send a picture of all the packaging that came with it and all the plastic that came home. So that needs to be addressed. New technologies in packaging, or new ways of delivering things without, let's say, too much packaging is I think, the second aspect. The third aspect is, of course, to run the business well. All the data that was talked about, and the AI, and applying it to manage your business and your inventory, or all ways in which you deliver. It could be drop shipping, it could be just in time type of inventory, or all of this needs to be managed both from the customer perspective and the business perspective. I think that is going to be the challenge, because the customer wants what they want, and the business wants to keep what is moving, or and so on. And the long tail needs to be addressed. Yeah, there are they talk about 1,000 customers in a city wanting a particular thing. How do you reach these 1,000? And the internet has enabled long tail delivery, right? Or being able to address long tail customers. So we'll need to do that, and exciting times ahead.
I think my 2 cents before we close is to have physical retail as an extension of your online channel, and the seamlessness between the two are going to be the most exciting things to look forward to. And the data that we generate online, the matrices that we monitor online, if we are able to implement the same, it's only going to enhance the customer experience in a physical retail outlet as well. And once the physical retail outlet experience is there and the customer confidence is there, then they're going to kind of be in a very symbiotic relationship, online and offline, with each other. Because the first step would be to take an online customer to an offline place where the confidence building is done, the convincing, and they have the ability, the trust, and the comfort that they have a counter to come back to. And once that is there, it's very easy to keep on targeting them online. So the good things that the online business or the e-commerce industry has taught us, if we are able to implement those on physical retail channels, that will not only help us better the experience, but also optimize the costs a lot, whether it is in terms of the stock that you are keeping or it is in terms of the real estate rent that you are paying. So I think it's the seamlessness between the two channels, which is something that we're going to look forward to. Thank you.
That's wonderful from all experts. I think the key to success, though it remains as customer experience, we need to build it through different ways and means. It would be appropriate synchronization of technology, appropriate experiences being delivered, appropriate timelines being followed, and building the brand value to a level that the consumer, the customer, would love to be with the brand. And not only it is about repeat sale, as Ankur says, it is about bringing repetition to a level of being at the loyalty. And it is not one size fits all. We all being retailers and we all being shoppers, we know we will have to craft a model that is suitable to our business, that is suitable to our category, to ensure that we become the winner in the upcoming ever-changing industry here. In the interest of time, we would like to avoid the questions on the floor, but we are all here. If you think there is something that you would like to interact with us, ask us or anything, you're more than welcome. We are all here around. Please reach to us and all the panelists around, and we'll take it up. So I would like to congratulate and thank you, Dr. Bhatia, Alok, the entire organizing committee, and the wonderful audience here, and most importantly, all the panelists to share their views on the subject. Thank you all.